What's going on, YouTube and y'all squad? This is your boy Yocrates. This is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4. I forget which episode it is, but it'll definitely be in the title. And before I get started, I told you, even though this wasn't a secret, but I told y'all what was going to happen. I told you that I was slightly wrong in my assumption because I said this episode was going to end with Melody going into Madani, and then somewhere around there it will be a to be continued. No, it actually her pulling up, and that was a to be continued. But I told y'all we wasn't finna get none of what we thought we was gonna get until the upcoming episode. I was right. But again, if you've been watching reality television for as long as I have, you know how they love to play with us. And it looks like next week's episode is primarily either over half of it is going to be the altercation between the Scotts and the Holt slash Cherie family, or the whole dang on episode is going to be there. But we shall see. But let's go ahead and get into this episode because it was all right. It was very, very Martell heavy. I did not really like that, but whatever. Let's go. So we start off with Marceau and Scott. They're at Scott Manor. They'll be breaking ground very, very soon. And, they're talking about everything that they're going to have to get done there. And again, that is a lot, from the sewage to the electrical to the plumbing. Like, that's going to be a lot, especially on that amount of land. But, you got to get the foundation and everything going before you really do anything else to make sure that everything is right. You got to make sure that everything is zoned up to code, the whole nine. So I mean, they still have a ways to go, and I appreciate Letitia for her patience because they did a flashback of her 6 months from when they started, wanting to see a whole lot. And even now, Marceau is telling her like it's COVID right now with everything that's going on. And then you do have people wanting to have things done in terms of construction. So prices are going to be high, and partially because, one, with it being COVID, a lot of resources are not being, brought in because of the restrictions. So that right there also is upping the price, and because it's the whole supply and demand. So you have a lot of companies that are charging way more, not just because of the cost of resources, but because, okay, our services are needed, so we can reasonably charge you more because you're gonna, like, if you don't pay it, if you don't pay us the money, you're gonna have to pay it to somebody else. That whole type of thing. Supply and demand, that whole thing. Whatever. So Letitia tells and see, and you got you got to watch stuff. She tells Marceau she's going to invest in her mother's food truck. Marceau is against it because all the ducks are not in a row. Primarily, like, the truck isn't moving. And apparently, it was the whole battery thing. Need a brand new battery, this, that, and third. But I can agree with that. And even later, when we see that Letitia truly is the brains of the operations for their businesses, it's kind of throwing me off just a little bit that she's not making sure that all of her mother's ducks are in a row before they truly shell all this money into this business. But we'll talk about her and the businesses later. And he feels that Wanda is lying about the truck moving because apparently she told Letitia that she went, got a brand new battery, got it put in, she drove around the block and whatnot, and it's working. He's like, I bet you $100 that it ain't working. And she was like, how much you want to bet that Martell hasn't changed? And what is so crazy is this is a lot of foreshadowing, and I don't even think they really knew that this was some foreshadowing. But it's a lot of foreshadowing in terms of what we're going to get next episode. So it's like they took 5 steps forward and by the time we get to next week, they took about 50 back. But y'all know what it is. So Letitia is kind of thrown because it's like, you have so much grace for Martell, but you don't have it for my mother. And one thing that he did say is, when it comes to business, we're talking about business. We're not talking about all this other stuff and somebody cheating and I done seen this and I done seen that. We're truly just talking about business. which is fine. And he could have also went down the beaten path of, you know, there's that, but also let's not act like both entities have not tried to sit here and mess up the marriage. Even though a lot of this, more so, if you would just stop doing crazy stuff, your marriage wouldn't be on the rocks like it is. But ain't none of my business. So I'm gonna drink my coffee. But anyway, so Marceau says he feels that Martell is good to his core. Okay, all right, we gonna see how you feel about that next week. Letitia runs down what Martell had said and the impact that it has had on their family, which it does have an impact. And I can understand why Marceau isn't literally running down on Wanda because, again, that is his wife's mother. Because he could have easily said, okay, he made this one comment or he made these couple of comments, but what has your mother done consistently over the years? Would you like me to read the list and let's juxtapose whose statements have had, the worst impact? But he didn't do that. I can appreciate that. Marceau then begins to explain away the bad behavior of Martell, and I'm like, that is where you messed up. And again, next week. So Letitia says she will speak to Martell directly. That right there, I appreciate what, especially because she is the majority shareholder. So the decision is hers at the end of the day. So she gonna talk to him. Cool. So you got Martell with Melnika. He's breaking ground on a house that he's going to build. I believe he said this is the first house that he's built within like the last 1 to 2 years. And we all know why, because you wasn't doing what you were supposed to do and piggybacking off of other people. Martell tells Melnika about the rumor that is going around and the source of the rumor as a heads up. Melnika feels a way about it, especially because her husband is being brought into this and he has nothing to do with it. And this is one of those things where her husband is going to be collateral damage in this, and that's not fair to him. And she's like, all you and I have is a business relationship together. She says, this all dates back to the wedding. And the whole thing with that is, her assistant had told her that Martell was trying to holler at her, which prompted Melody to get involved. And I guess when things got a little too shaky is when Melnika decided she was going to step out. Now, she said it wasn't 2 weeks prior. It was several months. And her mother came in and picked everything back up. Okay, so there's a time. So the timeline, continuity, okay, cool, whatever. But she did say that her and Martell, either one of them said they smashed back in the day. And she said, I don't want you right now. I'm about to say, you good for cheating? No, I don't want that. And then Martell was like, but didn't you cheat? She was like, I don't remember. He was like, same thing the Mel said. And she was like, well, if one get away with it, then I can. I'm like, that was kind of funny. So now we get Melody and Mama Van. Now I like Mama Van, but we gonna have to pull her. She gonna have to step on the carpet because I'm just saying that everybody get on him. So they talk about Mama's Van live with Lula Abera. I believe she has an IG Love and Marriage Huntsville fan page. So look, what I'm gonna say is this: definitely shout outs to all of the people, not just YouTubers, but people on various social media platforms that are getting their fair share and their shine on not just this show, but on other shows. Shout out. But they talk about the live where Mama Van was asked about Wanda's live. And her response was, ignorance cannot be explained, understood, or reasoned with. And let it stay where it's at. And that was some good old nice nasty church shit. I was like, you better, Mama Van. Look, this is one of those where you kind of sort of have to be in the church, or if not in the church, been around, holy rollers your whole life to really understand. Yeah, that was some good old church shit. I was here for it. So then the teen wife post comes up, and Mama Van says she didn't post it to bring Mel into drama, but she saw it as a marketing opportunity. And Mel was like, and it seemed like it was a little bit shade. She was like, yeah, there was a little bit of shade. And she says that sales increase. Now, here's what I'm going to say about this. If The whole intent truly was like, okay, here's an opportunity for me to sit here and, push my daughter's merchandise. What she probably should have done is not only just posted a picture of Letitia, but should have had a picture of Letitia, Melody, and maybe several other people in the Teen Wife shirt and posted it to her social media. That way it doesn't have the appearance of, okay, you really trying to be shady. But this is also one of those things where you have to be very cognizant of what you do and what you put out there, because you're literally inviting conflict to come into y'all situationship. So everything that Van gets after this, I'm sorry, you pulled the trigger. So now the war has started. Everything else, you have to deal with the smoke that settles, baby. I'm just saying. So I really can't, just be like, oh, pull Mama Van. No, like you started some of this. You know what it is. You full grown, baby. You know what it is. So then we find out that Mark Sky, who is Marceau and Maurice's brother, have found some pop bottles, because I'm from Chi-Town, from Chicago. We call it pop. Some of y'all call it soda, and then other people call it soda pop, but we call it pop up here. I have to be extra, y'all. Y'all know I got to be extra. But anyway, he found some pop bottles with her first name and his last name, put it together, took a picture. Apparently, allegedly, this is when they were quote unquote allegedly. Again, I don't know their business, so I'm pretty much going based off of what I can piece together. But they was in a situationship, right? He took that picture and he sent it to her, and then at some point, I guess while they were still in a situationship, Mama Van, sent that to Letitia. So Letitia had it, and after the teen wife post, because Letitia already had his picture, I would assume that she either texted it to Marceau or Marceau texted it to himself, and then he posted it on social media. So that's how we get that, right? Right. And possibly in retaliation of why Marcel posted it, it was definitely retaliation. All right. And Mark had also told her that his mom said that his wife's name would be Vanessa, which happens to be Mama Van's name, Vanessa. And Mama Van is disappointed in Martell because he knows the truth, and she was upset because he did a complete 180 at the reunion, and they showed a clip. So pretty much he know what the situation is, has always been on their side, but decided at the reunion to sit here and pull a 180 inside with the Scots. And Mel feels that Martell is siding with the Scots because he feels they may help him with his rebirth. And what is so funny is I was about to write that down in my notes, and then Melody said it. I'm like, all right, she quick with it. I can't even be mad. She quick with it. So, and we all know what it is. But what I'm going to say is, it probably would have been best if he would have just, peacefully settled things with Melody, and he and Melody would have just worked when it came to business. And I feel that Melody could have helped him out a hell of a lot more than dealing with the Scots. But again, Martell is one of those characters where you don't know. He almost like a Ike Turner type of person, where the wind can blow one way and then he just gonna snap the hell off for no damn reason. Like, Martell is a little bit unpredictable. Okay, because it's so interesting how he and Mel are in a good spot now, but in present day, present time on social media, he's acting a plump fool, is trying to have sole custody of the children and all this other stuff. So this is just one of those where Martell is his own worst enemy. And yeah, Mel was the best thing that ever happened to him. Like, I just gotta call a thing a thing. But anyway, so now we get Martell and Letitia at the Black Lounge. One thing I'ma give Letitia and Marceau, oh, they gonna promote their businesses, baby. Oh, they gonna promote it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because they could have had this sit down at any other place in Alabama. Oh no, we gonna have it at my institution. Free press and promotion. I'm here for it. Do your thing. Letitia asks him about the kids. He talks about how things are going with the kids. And then she asks about his ex-mother-in-law and brings up Mama Van posting her on her social media. Now this is where I'm like, okay, now Letitia, you confusing me here, because what you doing right now is you literally just pulled your mama. You are pulling your mama right now. Like when your mama went to talk to Marceau about investing in her business, and with the quickness switch topics to him possibly cheating and being in Atlanta and all this other stuff, you literally just pulled your mama, because this right here has nothing to do with business, and it has nothing to do directly with Martell. So I'm like, ooh, I didn't like that. So she talks about Mama Van being employed with them and dating Mark. And my whole thing is, why are you bringing this up? Again, this has nothing to do with Martell. And this makes me feel, because you know the cameras are there, this is just something y'all can have in y'all back pocket, because it's going to come up like, Martell, why did you just sit there and let that happen? But because Martell needs something from her, he kind of sort of has to eat it, which sucks. And Letitia then asks Martell why he wants to come back into scope. Martell says he feels that he can help them grow to a national company, not just building hotels, but buying hotels. I'm like, okay. So then Tisha says, Marceau says that I'm very emotional, and I agree when it comes to our marriage, but not when it comes to business. Marceau also thought that you and he would work well together, but I don't. And she said, I feel that under that they would have been good under the right leadership, which prompted her to buy him out of his shares and be the primary shareholder. Now, right there, I'ma just say that was a good business move right there. Like, let's just call a thing a thing. I'm like, okay, but again, based off of what we've heard over the years, is she is the brains behind the success that they have. And okay, I'm sitting here getting there's a software update for the thing that I'm using right now. Just minimize that. It literally just threw me off. I'm sorry. And she says before she bought his shares, the business was in the red. Under her leadership, it's a multi-million-dollar company. I'm like, well, you better come with the facts and the receipts. I know that broke his face. I know it did, but I was here for it. And she wants him to think about his part and know that this isn't the old scope. It has a new leader. And then Tisha brings up trust and asking him, is this part, like, is this the past being the past? Are we leaving this in the past? Are we starting with a new slate? Like, what are we doing? He says neither party will go into a business venture if there wasn't trust, and he hasn't done anything that has been untrustworthy. Now I'm like, nah, sir, let's not say that. Now, Letitia brings up a whole 20 women comment and says that he needs to be careful with his words. But I will also venture to say, when you are in a marriage, let's call it a thing, it's a business. Whether y'all want to sit here and say, oh, it's emotional and it's Godric, it's a business. All right, that's what marriage is, and that's what it's always been. Y'all want to romanticize it, that's perfectly fine. But what tends to happen is when you have people in high executive positions and companies and whatnot, if they see that, okay, you are in the news and whatnot because your marriage is falling apart or you're cheating and you're doing this, that is letting them know that your marriage is a business and you can't keep that business straight. So we can't sit here and be tied to you nor invest in you because you don't know how to handle your business correctly, which means that you're not trustworthy. I wish she would have went that route, but she didn't. But hey, I would have. Because I would have put it out there, like, not trying to shame you, but just let you know what the real is. So Martell doesn't believe it will ever come to that point again. All I can say is next week. Letitia says they will leave things behind them and move forward. Now, one thing that granted, I don't think we would ever get to it, but I wish that Letitia would have had a form of a contract already drawn up with all of the different stipulations in there, this, that, and the third, and it being itemized what is expected of him, where he needs to initial at every little piece, where he clearly understands what it is, and if he violates, how the termination will go, what will happen with his shares. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those, at that point, I wouldn't even be playing with you. Like, it's gonna be one of those, like, you better not even sneeze wrong around. So we get Martell, Maurice, Marceau, and Lewis. They're at I think the place was called Pigskins and Pins. So pretty much, it's almost like a bowling type of institution, but rather than using the bowling ball, you use a football to try to knock down the pins. Something not, and honestly, I like seeing that. Like, I like seeing different stuff on television rather than going to the same type of places. Because after a while, it's just like, okay, every reality show is, okay, we're doing goat yoga. Oh, okay, now we're doing this over here. It's just like, can y'all figure out some new stuff to do? Okay, all right, praise the Lord, though. So Martell says things are better with him and Mel and the kids. Great. The Scots talk about them having and setting boundaries in terms of if conflict ever arises, what are the boundaries and whatnot, and where is the shut off? Because the Scott brothers was even saying how with them being brothers, they know how far to go, and saying how we have to pretty much have it did out to where we know we don't go past a certain point. Like, no matter what happens, we can sit here and have it out, but there are boundaries, things that we don't say, things that are off limits. Which, yes, you more than likely need to have that. And you have some people that feel like, oh, well, that should be understood. But again, everybody was raised differently, brought up differently. So, hey, it just is what it is. Sometimes you have to, like, put it out there and be like, hey, we don't go past these points. Because, in different friend groups, different things exist. In some friends group, parents and kids off limits. In other friend groups, no, it ain't. So I'm just saying. Martell brings up the Van post. Marceau says if Van taking a picture from an argument of Mel and Tisha, meaning that she more than likely was playing that clip back, whether it be on the television or whatever, and then caught a screenshot of his wife in the midst of this argument. So if her taking this picture and posting it was her supporting marriage, then what I posted was supporting marriage. Now, all that I put here, cause I left it alone at that, and I just put it here. Y'all remember it was either at the beginning of this season or last season with everything that was going on with Coleslaw, and you had Letitia trying to talk to Marceau about it at a dinner, and he kept telling her, no, stop, don't feed into him, don't give this stuff light, don't give it no clout, don't give it nothing. So even though I understand these two situations are different, why is it that when it comes to that, it's let's not give this any light, let's not even feed into it? But you see Mama Van posting something, and your first instinct is to sit here and play tit for tat. Not saying that you can't defend yourself, but it's just like, come on now, like we need to have some consistency here. So then the episode ends, and it ain't really a lot to this. Like, it's the Madani, rebirth. She has vendors there and whatnot. Wanda is there to cook, and you hear her complaining and whatnot, saying if I had a food truck and this, and the third, things would be different. Marceau pulls in, and Wanda is talking about how she need help. They said, man, when I tell y'all Marceau walked his ass smooth up in that dang on his ass, but like, I ain't gonna help you. I'm like, you so shaded. But she's out there trying to get everything, prepped and ready to, serve her food and whatnot. We'll see how that all plays out. Marceau brings their liquor. He said it needs to be chilled, but again, I appreciate them. Hey, this, like, you have an opportunity to push your product. Now, whether or not if the producers show it or not, one thing. But hey, do it. I'm all here for it. Martell then asked Destiny if she invited Mel. Now, Melnika is sitting right beside him. She's like, well, there's Mel right there. He's like, Melody. And then she starts talking about the different colors of the shells and whatnot. And my thing is, that is so very unnecessary. Like, why can't you just stand in and just be like, no, I didn't invite her? She probably knows about it, but no, I didn't invite her. Like, why are you doing all this? Like, that doesn't make you look good at all. It really makes you look weak as hell that you can't just even provide a clear, concise answer of no. Anyway, Contessa and Scott from Married to Medicine show up, and Contessa looked good. I ain't even gonna lie. She was glowing and everything. I'm like, all right, now come through. And then we end the scene with Melody pulling up. And that is it. So next week, it's all going to go down. We can talk about it then. So with that being said, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see y'all for whatever I got coming over. All right, y'all. Peace out.